a few weeks ago, Joey gave us some news, and now he wants to share it with the audience. So, Joey, take it away.
Well, thank you, Rico. After 51 years and 4 months, I've said everything I can possibly say on the radio at least 7 times each. So I told Rico it's time to pull the plug and retire. So the last month I'm going to be on the air is this one that started on, of course, March the 1st. My last broadcast will be a Friday, March the 26th. And, it's mixed emotions. I've been doing radio so long, it's who I am. So all of a sudden, I'm not going to be on the air, but we're going to celebrate. We're going to go to Hawaii for 2 weeks and just relax, enjoy the beach, and start my new life.
So you're going to say everything you've said one more time.
One more time all this month. All right. So you're going to hear the same thing over and over. Hi, I'm Joey Mitchell. Wake up. It's wake up time and all that stuff. So if you'd like to let me know how you feel about the show these past years or how long you've listened, boy, I'd love to hear from you. Send me a text at 916-587-1015. I read all the texts, especially during the big finish. And I'd love to hear from you, and I will respond personally. So let me know.
So now, you've been on the air at K-Hits for 14 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Since January.
It was supposed to be a part-time job for Jim. Jim and I were offered. We were at the Elephant Bar. I remember this so well. And this guy, his name was Bob Fox, came and not Fox. What was his name? Dunphy, yeah, nicest guy in the world, said, hey, we're starting a new station in Sacramento. It's oldies, and you guys were recommended to us. Joey for mornings and Jim for afternoons. We looked at each other. We started laughing because we had an ad agency at the time, and it was doing very well. We had about 26, 27 clients. And do we want to do this again? So it sounded like so much fun. We went on the air with K-Hits, and it was on a different frequency. What was it, 92.1? Yeah. And we started playing oldies. I mean, real oldies, the Beatles and the 60s and just having a blast. And then it morphed into what K-Hits is now, which is such a great radio station. Rico came on board. Susan was already there just making everything happen. And then Jen joined us. And it's probably one of the finest radio stations I've ever worked at. It's a tight format. And for those of you not in radio, it means that it's always, forward momentum. We're always playing the next song and referring to the next item. We're not in the past and slow paced. And I just love working here. It's been an adventure. What kills me is getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning for 51 plus years. I'm only 26 years old. I look like this. And
that's amazing.
It's gonna be nice to sleep in, guys. It's gonna.
So you were broadcasting for years in your mom's womb before she was born.
Yeah.
Wow.
She said I came out with headphones and a mic and
and a mustache, right?
She walked funny for 2 years after mine. Probably cut that out. But I had an aunt that said I was vaccinated with a phonograph needle, so I was meant for radio. I always thought that was hilarious.
So you and Jen worked together?
Oh yeah,
at another station, right?
KRAK. I gotta tell you, Joey taught me how to do a morning show. I learned that was the first morning show I ever did from you at Cool 101.1 way back in the day, and I owe you so much. You've been such a great mentor in my life, in my career, and I learned so much from you about radio and life and just so many things, Joey. I can't imagine what Sacramento radio will be like without you on the air, because
you're so sweet. Thank you.
You're such a good friend too. Thank you.
Yeah, we've been friends forever, and I'm so glad you joined us here at the station, because you've added a lot. Your production quality is awesome. Anybody who can put all those birthdays together week after week, I'm impressed, girl.
Oh, thank you.
Didn't we work at KRAK too?
I was down the hall from you at KRAK. So we were in the same building there too. And that was actually the very beginning of my career back in the 90s. So there's not been any part of my career that you haven't been around or a part of. So I will miss you terribly.
Thank you. I remember when I first joined KRAK, it was 1975, and I was the all-night guy. And so I'm in the studio, and there's a CB radio in there. I thought, CB? So I'm like, breaker, good buddy. This is the skinny kid, because I was really skinny back then. Hard to believe now. And this is the skinny kid, come on. And the truckers would start talking to me and asking for requests and for songs. And I couldn't broadcast their actual thing because at the time it was illegal to broadcast CB radio on the radio, but I would repeat everything they said. And they started telling other truckers, hey, when you get to Sacramento, you got to listen to this guy, Joey Mitchell, because he puts us on the air. And the audience started getting bigger and bigger on the night show. So the guy who was doing mornings was Rick Stewart, who is probably one of the most wonderful people in the broadcast industry. I saw what you put on Facebook for him, Jen, and the response from everybody that loved him. He went to Seattle to our sister station, Compass, to do mornings. And they called me up. I was mowing the lawn, and my son said, there's a guy who says he's your boss on the radio. Well, it's a Saturday morning. This is it. I'm done. They're getting rid of me, because that's what always happens when you get that call. And they said, we want you to do mornings. I was flabbergasted.
Wow.
And scared to death. Went on the air, and we had a big group. We had about 4 or 5 people, right, Jen? I mean, we had a trivia guy and a news guy and a co-host and then a sidekick that we would send everywhere, you know, to do the craziest stuff. I remember on one of those where the guy comes up and sees his shadow. What am I trying to say?
The Groundhog
Day. We sent him dressed up as a groundhog into the sewer system, and he popped out. And I'm there. He sees his shadow. It's 2 more months. Just stupid.
Who did you send down there?
And the poor guy did it all the time. He was just the greatest. His name was Bubba. That's what we called him, Bubba. And when we did our station IDs with celebrities, it would be him. He'd go and not change his voice or anything. He'd be, hello, this is Dolly Parton, and I listen to Joey Mitchell every morning. He would do all the voices the same way. So it was hilarious because everybody knew it was Bubba. One day I was on the air and I get a call from this guy. He says, the Royal Air Force, we're a fighter squadron. We're coming to Sacramento and we're beaming on your signal. Well, 50,000 watts. They had me like 6 states away and they were beaming on this radio signal. So we start talking. They're telling me stories. And I said, come on down to the station. So they did. They landed and came to the station. These guys are in their flight suits and everything. Wow. Royal Air Force, we're giving them bumper stickers and hats and sweaters. It was just amazing, the signal we had. 50,000 watts, clear channel. Can you imagine? So one lady near the tower said she didn't have to turn on the radio. She got it in her microwave. She got it on her toaster. She hated us. She couldn't get away from KRAK.
So is there any like moment from broadcasting, you know, in your show, like just one moment for you that's, I mean, after 51 years, I can't imagine that you can filter it down to one moment. That just stands out to you?
Because there's so many moments. I remember going on air to Walt Shaw, who was our news guy, at the Capitol, because President Ford was there and he was going to make a speech, and Walt is just about to interview him when Squeaky Fromme tried to shoot him. And they tackle her. She's in this red dress. They tackle her to the ground. And Walt's like, oh my God, they tried. And that was live on the air. We were there, you know?
Wow.
Those kind of things. When a B-52 crashed at Sacramento airport, we had a window to the street behind us. And all of us, I looked out and all of a sudden the sky is just jet black. and it was the black smoke and the flame. We were live for that, you know. The Challenger disaster. I had it on a little monitor just to watch. I go, oh, the Challenger, there she goes, and I saw the explosion, and we reported that live. So those kind of moments were just amazing. Of course, the funny moments were like when Rick Stewart, who had come back to KRAK after Seattle, and he did the midday show. They left me on mornings. He came in on his hands and knees. I didn't see him into the studio, and he blew smoke through the console. I see smoke. I see the station's on fire. Oh my God, the station's on fire. Well, Arden Fair Fire Department heard it, and they come with the hook and ladder and the tanker, and the guys are bringing hoses in the studio, and I go, and we're laughing, Rico and I, because now he stood up and he's got the cigarette.
Yeah, back when you could do that.
Oh, please. I mean, they were screaming. We had to shut the mic off because profanities were coming out of these guys. Stuff like that. It was.
I remember one story about somebody sneaking up on you, Joey.
Sneaking up on me.
Mm-hmm. I felt so bad, but you were in production recording a promo for the next day.
It was her. Yeah, I have.
And just as you open the mic, you're like, "This is Joey Mitchell." And tomorrow, and I just had this wild hair feeling of, I'm going to scare the crap out of him. So I see you through the window, and I see you recording, and I slammed open the door. Remember that?
Yo, do I remember that?
Screaming at the top of my lungs.
She scared me so bad. I almost had a heart attack. I fell down on the floor, didn't I? I was screaming. Then remorse. You're like trying to fix it. I'm sorry.
I have that audio still.
Do you really?
Hold on a second here. Let me see if
he's gonna find it. This was a terrifying moment for me.
All right, hang on. Let's see. I want to make sure you guys can hear it.
So just how safe?
Can you hear that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so Joey's recording a promo for his next show the next morning when Susan barges in.
So just how safe is your car from being stolen? Hey, it's Joey Mitchell, and I got a list of the top 10 most stolen.
Are you okay? I'm so sorry.
I couldn't understand what that screaming was. I thought somebody was getting murdered. It's never happened to me before. All the years of broadcasting. Let's listen back to it.
Let's listen back to it.
I love how you immediately like, what does that sound like? Maybe
maybe we can use it on the show.
After all the expletives and everything, the pro comes out. Let's listen back to that.
Every time you heard that morning, it was an expletive that came out.
I felt so bad because I started to worry about you throughout the day. I was like, you know, because people can have delayed like heart issues and that kind of stuff after big scares, like a huge adrenaline rushes. So I was like, I called later in the day. I'm like, are you feeling okay? Like, I was just.
Well, when he told the story on the air, that's what he said. He goes, all day Susan's calling me like, are you okay?
In my mind, I was like, oh my God, if he has a heart attack later in the day, I'm just going to die.
Guys, I grew up in New York City. I walked some nasty streets in New York City. I walked down the main aisle at Folsom Prison with the prisoners yelling out. Nothing scared me like Susan in that room.
You know, one thing I'll always think of you and remember you for, Joey, is that you were always so good with your listeners, and you have people in this town who've been listening to you forever, and you're so gracious with them and so polite, and so I know you really appreciate every single one of them. And that's one thing I always loved about you, is that you were so gracious with every person who listened to you.
Thank you. Yeah. Without them, it's an old saying, but it's so true. Without our listeners, we're nothing. We're talking to ourselves, and they make us or break us. And I was very sensitive to that early on. And so if I got a phone call from a listener that was mad at me or was angry, I was devastated. I might get 100 positive calls, but that one call, all I could think of was, oh man, I really made them mad. What am I going to do? So the station decided Joey doesn't answer the phone anymore. You answer the phone, and whatever they were screaming at, you just say, oh, great, thank you. Oh, it's another person that really likes
Another fan,
never
Joey.
knew who was pissed off at me or not. It's the only way we could deal with it.
I remember when I was coming to the station, 2008, June of 08. And I was wondering, like, what's this going to be like? Because I listened to Joey when my mom was taking me to school when I was 8 years old.
Can you believe that?
Wow.
And, you know, I remember it still, 8 years old. We lived in Livermore. And there was a place near there that you would go to also, like the Winner's Circle.
Yeah, that's right. We went out there a lot.
But anyway, she would listen, and there was all these parody songs. And I knew they were supposed to be funny. And so I like laughed and enjoyed it. You know, when I hear the parody songs as an adult, I'm like, those are so inappropriate. But I remember I made my mom buy a cassette tape of the parodies. You sold them for a fundraiser.
Right, for Make-A-Wish. You have one? Oh my God. He's got one.
He does.
We raised 20 grand the first year with one of those little cassettes,
wow.
just selling them. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was
cassettes.
Joey Mitchell and Company Greatest Bits, Volume 1.
The first one. It's reflecting. So
there
you go. Yeah, we went
I have Volume 2 here.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm going to work with this guy that's been on the radio longer than I've been alive. How do we not make this awkward?
Yeah. And in fact, years later, I said, how did you handle that? You know, telling the guy you grew up listening to what to do on the radio. He goes, I don't think of it that way. He says, I just think of it. You're an employee and I'm the boss. Okay. And it worked out. He's been a great boss.
You know, I remember the first time we met was in the conference room, and I showed you the tape.
I was flabbergasted.
It's not this one. You gave me this one. I only had the tape. I didn't have the case.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And I was afraid to play it because it would probably get eaten up in the tape player anyway. But I remember I showed it to you and you're going, I think I only have like 2 of these left. Where did you get this?
Yeah, it was amazing.
And when I tell him that I grew up, you know, listening to him when I was 8 years old, he does this like.
That's taking my intestines out and hanging myself with them. You remember that? Yeah, we've been like a family, you know, at the station. It's really cool. And you can tell when one of us is sick or in trouble or whatever, all the others will call and see how you're doing. It's really, really nice. And I know a lot of people say, oh, they're a family, but we really are. And I mean, I know Jen's kid, you know, she's an absolute delightful girl. And Rico's son, Jace, is awesome. He does my Big Finish Open. And Susan's doggy is fabulous. We all have so different an attitude about how we do our shows, about how we live our lives, about our hobbies. But when it comes to friendship, it's there. I mean, I always have you guys your back, you know, and I hope you know that because I love to do funny stuff and pick on people and that, but I would never do anything to hurt you on purpose. You know, it would be either a faux pas or I went over the line or whatever, but a perfect example is Jim Hall, always making fun of his age, you know, and how old he was. And he was at Ford's Theater when Lincoln was shot, but he missed the whole thing because he was getting popcorn in the lobby, you know, stuff like that. But actually, Jim is younger than me. Funny. And I've never said that before. This is the first time I said it. Jim is.
Well, yeah, he would say that. You'd be on the air in the morning cracking a joke, and that afternoon, Jim's going, "Oh, Joey, you know, he knows that I'm actually younger." So
yeah, nobody believed him, you know, and it was just like, "Oh yeah, nice try," but it's true, you know.
I feel fortunate that I broke your curse of the station hat too.
Yeah. She well, you know, how long have I had that hat, Jen?
Maybe we're going on probably 4 or 5 years.
Oh, okay. So I was going to say, you just gave it to me and look, I'm leaving. The curse is if I went and made a station hat or a logo on and actually paid for it and had it made, I was done for. The station either changed formats or got rid of me or whatever. So I asked Jen, could you get me the hat? I don't think the curse would extend to you. So she got me a hat. And I love it.
Funny.
And you live to tell about it.
Yeah.
You know that record I had, Luscious Lucy, and those tapes you just showed me? I just, for the fun of it, Googled them, and people are selling them online. Luscious Lucy, the record, you know, $10. Local Sacramento DJ, funny song, you know? And
Did you forget you put them up there?
I'm sorry?
Did you forget you put them up there?
Yeah. I was going to buy them before somebody did. But 45 and a cassette, I mean, boy, is that dated, right?
Well, Joey, it's been an absolute joy to work with you. I can't even express how much I'm going to miss you. I've missed you over the past year working from home. But I mean, it's just, you have such a genuine heart, and that comes through in everything that you do. And it's always a warm welcome whenever I come to the radio station and you're there. And you've touched so many people over the years. We just, I think I can speak for everybody. We're just grateful to have worked with you, and we continue to, you know, love you, and we want to keep in touch, and hopefully we'll get to see whatever kind of fun projects you're doing in the future, you know, follow your heart and just go and enjoy yourself.
Oh God, thank you so much. That was wonderful. I really appreciate that. We're going to take this phase of my life and just enjoy the family, you know, and do my hobbies and travel. We already have booked a trip to Spain next year. You know?
Nice.
And my kids, who travel all the time, have been to all these places. So it's like having a travel host, you know, with us that knows, you know, here's what you need to see. Don't waste your time here. So I'm going to do a lot of that. I'm going to become Big Jim Hall without the golf clubs.
Well, we can get you some golf clubs if you need some golf. Yeah, and to kind of add on to what Susan was saying, it's the same. Like the first few years after I was at the station, I'd have, you know, industry people ask, like, what's it like working with, you know, Joey and Jim, these, you know, these legends, and, you know, you go in there and they've been in the market for as long as they have. And my answer was always the same. These are two of the easiest guys in the world to work with. I mean, like, you know, you never know what to expect going in, but, you know, a positive, rewarding experience, you know, all the way around for just about 13 years that I've been here. So
thank you, man. Appreciate that. Is there any word on who's going to be doing mornings?
Susan's dog.
He's ready to go.
See,
energy to burn.
Nobody's going to miss me, damn it. A dog on the air, that's going to be awesome.
You won't actually hear him. We're just going to put his picture on the website that he's on the air, but you're not actually going to hear him because he can't talk. So.
He's really good at growling and breathing heavy.
Oh,
so you might hear some of that.
Maybe Jack could get in on that too. He could be his sidekick.
Yeah. If you had an African gray, that would be awesome. They talk, you know, so much. Here's another one from K-Hits, baby.